In exactly 3 hours, the bank froze my savings, and the handsome 6 with a 10's wallet vanished, leaving a 5000 bill on my kitchen table. I had no idea that a casual swipe right could shatter my credit, my reputation, and my sanity in a single night. What I'm about to tell you will expose the hidden mechanics of modern romance scams, the devastating fallout of trusting a glossy Instagram feed, and why I still blame myself even though the evidence is crystal clear. I met Alex on a Tuesday night in a dimly lit bar downtown, the kind of place where the neon open sign flickers like a promise. He walked in wearing a fitted navy blazer, a smile that could sell ice to an Eskimo, and a watch that screamed I'm a 10's wallet. I was already scrolling through my phone, comparing my own life to the filtered perfection of my friends' brunch photos, when his eyes locked onto mine. He leaned over, ordered a bourbon, and said, "You look like someone who knows how to have fun." My heart performed a tiny somersault. I'd been waiting for a sign that I wasn't the only one chasing excitement in a city that never sleeps. We talked for hours, and every story he told was a polished vignette, a startup that just about to go public, a vacation in the Maldives that he'd just booked, a gym membership that cost more than my rent. My friends, who lived vicariously through my Instagram stories, flooded the comments with heart emojis and yas, babe. Their validation felt like fuel to a fire I didn't even realize I'd started. I posted a picture of us on the rooftop, the city lights glittering behind us, captioned, "Found my 6 to 10 upgrade." The likes came in a cascade, and the algorithm seemed to approve. But the first crack appeared the moment I asked for his number. He hesitated, then typed out a string of digits that looked more like a code than a phone number. "I'm traveling tomorrow," he said, "so I'll text you when I land." I laughed it off, convincing myself that a true gentleman would respect my space. In reality, I was already rehearsing the conversation I'd have with my mother later that night. "Mom, I met someone amazing. He's successful, he's kind, and he's definitely not a catfish." My mother's reply was a half-smile emoji and a text that read, "Just be careful, honey." The next morning, Alex's text arrived at 2:13 a.m., a blurry selfie taken in a hotel lobby, a caption that read, "Just landed, can't wait to see you." My heart raced faster than my coffee could brew. I slipped on a pair of heels I'd bought on impulse the week before because why not dress for the man who already seemed to have a private jet? I texted back, "Can't wait either. Meet at the rooftop bar at 7. When I arrived, Alex was already there, leaning against the rail, a glass of champagne in hand. He greeted me with a kiss that felt like a transaction, a silent agreement that we were both buying into something that felt too good to be true. He ordered 2 more drinks, and as the night progressed, he slipped a sleek black card into my hand. "Consider this a little welcome gift," he whispered. It was a prepaid Visa, loaded with a few $100s, enough to cover my Uber ride home, enough to make me feel like I'd won the lottery of love. I told my best friend Maya about the card over brunch the next day. She raised an eyebrow, the way she always did when my stories drifted toward the fantastical. "Babe, that's generous, but also a red flag," she said, tapping her phone. "If he's that rich, why give you a prepaid card instead of just paying for dinner?" I laughed, brushing it off with a wave. "He's just being thoughtful," I replied, already rehearsing the defense that would become my mantra. "I know I'm being naive, but I'm not stupid." The second week was a blur of brunches, late-night calls, and endless Instagram stories. Alex would send me screenshots of his bank statements, each one a blurred line of numbers that looked impressive but were impossible to verify. He claimed his startup, Nimbus Tech, was on the verge of a Series A round. He showed me a sleek pitch deck, the kind you'd see on Shark Tank, and said, "One day, I'll bring you on as a partner." My mind, starved for validation, lapped up every word like a thirsty dog at a water bowl. Then the first warning sign arrived in the form of a notification on my phone: "Your account has been locked due to suspicious activity." I stared at the screen, heart pounding, as the bank's cold voice instructed me to call a toll-free number. I dialed, and a calm, recorded voice told me that a large transaction had been attempted from my account to an unknown third party. My savings 12,000 that I'd painstakingly built from freelance gigs were now frozen, pending verification. The panic was immediate, the devastation instantaneous. I could hear my own breath, ragged and shallow, as I whispered, "What have I done?" I called Alex, my fingers trembling. He answered on the third ring, his voice smooth as silk. Hey, love, I'm so sorry you're dealing with that, he said, but I think it's a misunderstanding. I'll take care of it. He asked for my account number, the routing number, and the exact amount of the frozen funds. I hesitated, but the image of his smiling face on my phone screen made my brain short-circuit. Okay, I whispered, hear what they asked for. He thanked me, promised to send a quick fix email, and hung up. Within minutes, an email arrived from a legal department of the bank, requesting that I transfer the frozen amount to a secure escrow account to release the hold. The email looked authentic, the logo, the formatting, even the signature of a senior manager. My mind, already clouded with fear, saw only one solution: pay the $5,000 escrow fee and get my money back. I stared at the screen, the cursor blinking, as a wave of shame washed over me. I'm a fool, I thought, but I'm also a survivor. I'll do whatever it takes. I transferred the money that night, watching the numbers disappear from my account like sand slipping through fingers. The next morning, Alex sent me a picture of a receipt: 5,000 escrow paid. Your money is safe now. I felt a fleeting sense of relief, a tiny ember of hope that maybe, just maybe, this was the climax of a dramatic romance, not the beginning of a nightmare. I posted a story with the caption, "Love conquers all, especially financial hurdles." My followers flooded the comments with heart emojis and the occasional "girl, you're a queen." The validation was intoxicating. It dulled the gnawing guilt that had begun to settle in my stomach. But the universe has a way of exposing lies faster than a viral meme. 2 days later, my phone buzzed with a notification from the bank: your escrow payment has been received. However, the original transaction remains under investigation. No further action required at this time. I stared at the screen, the words blurring into a single devastating line: your account remains frozen. My heart dropped. I called the bank again, this time speaking to a live representative named Carla. She explained, in a tone that was both professional and sympathetic, that the escrow was a scam and that the funds had been transferred to a fraudulent account. My savings were gone, my credit score plummeted, and the legal department email was a phishing attempt. I hung up, tears streaming down my cheeks, feeling the weight of every single like and heart I'd collected now turning into a heavy, suffocating blanket. I texted Alex, demanding an explanation. He replied with a single word: sorry. No apology, no explanation, just a cold, empty apology that felt like a punch to the gut. My mind raced. How could I have been so blind? How could a man who seemed to have a 10's wallet be a master of deception? I realized I had been playing a role in my own downfall, feeding his narrative with every yes and sure, let's do that. I knew I was the one who had let the fantasy override the facts. My friends rallied around me, each offering a different perspective. Maya called me at 2 a.m., her voice trembling with anger. You were a queen, not a pawn, she said, but you let him think you needed his money. That's why he froze the accounts, because you gave him power over you. My sister Jenna, who lived 3 states away, sent a long email filled with statistics about romance fraud, the average loss of 7,900, and the psychological tactics scammers used to create dependency. Even my mother, who had always warned me about nice guys, texted a single line: I told you, honey. I told you. The social media backlash was swift. My story, posted as a cautionary tale, went viral. Comments ranged from supportive "you're not alone" to judgmental "why did you trust him?" The algorithm amplified the narrative, and suddenly I was a case study in a digital age where love and money intersect in the most dangerous ways. The more I read, the more I understood the pattern: the initial charm, the rapid escalation of intimacy, the sudden request for money, and the final disappearance. I saw myself reflected in countless other women's stories, each one a mirror of my own missteps. I tried to rebuild, but the damage was far-reaching. My credit report showed a delinquent account, a collection agency called, demanding payment for a debt that wasn't mine. I was denied a loan for a new apartment, and the landlord I'd hoped to rent from asked for a larger security deposit. The emotional whiplash was relentless. One moment I was hopeful, the next I was drowning in shame. I found myself oscillating between self-pity and fierce determination. I know I messed up, I would tell myself, but I'm not a victim forever. Yet every time I opened my bank app, the empty balance stared back at me like a silent accusation. One evening, as I sat on my couch scrolling through the comments on my viral post, a private message popped up from a user named Finance Guru. He wrote, I saw your story. I'm a forensic accountant, and I think I can help you trace the money." My skepticism was immediate, another potential scam. But his profile was real, with a LinkedIn link, a photo of a tidy office, and a series of posts about financial fraud. I replied, and within an hour we were on a video call. He introduced himself as Daniel, a calm, methodical man with a soft voice that contrasted sharply with the chaos of my life. Daniel explained how scammers use money mules to launder funds, how the escrow email was a fake that mimicked the bank's branding, and how the only way to recover the money was through a legal process that could take months, if not years. He offered to help me file a police report, to contact the bank's fraud department, and to set up a monitoring service for my credit. I felt a flicker of hope, a small ember that perhaps justice could be served. I agreed, and for the first time in weeks, I felt a sense of agency. The police report was filed, and the case number was assigned. I received a confirmation email from the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, acknowledging my report. It felt bureaucratic, but it was a step forward. Daniel set up a credit freeze, preventing any further unauthorized accounts from being opened in my name. He also connected me with a support group for fraud victims, a virtual circle of women who shared their stories, their tears, and their triumphs. Their collective strength reminded me that I wasn't alone, that my experience was part of a larger societal issue. Weeks turned into months. The bank's investigation concluded that the escrow was a phishing scheme, and they could not reverse the transaction. The money was gone, but the process forced me to confront the reality that I had been complicit in my own downfall. I had ignored red flags, I had let my desire for validation override my intuition, and I had allowed a stranger to dictate my financial stability. The justice I sought was not a monetary refund, but a reclamation of my self-respect. I started a new Instagram account, not for likes, but for education. I posted a carousel titled "How to Spot a Romance Scam in 5 Steps," each slide filled with concrete examples: the unsolicited prepaid card, the urgent escrow request, the polished social media presence that doesn't match reality, the pressure to act quickly, and the lack of verifiable proof. The response was overwhelming. Messages poured in from women who said, I was about to fall for the same trick, and from men who admitted they'd been scammed too. The narrative shifted from shame to empowerment, and I felt the power dynamic reverse. I was no longer the naive girl who trusted a 6 with a 10's wallet. I became the voice warning others, the person who turned her disaster into a public service. My friends, who had initially judged me, now rallied behind my advocacy. Maya helped me organize a virtual workshop on financial literacy, inviting a panel of experts, including Daniel. My mother, who had once warned me, now proudly shared my posts on her own timeline, adding a caption that read, "My daughter is a warrior." Even Alex's name resurfaced in a comment thread, a reminder of the man who had shattered my accounts and left me the bill. But now, his presence was a footnote, a cautionary tale rather than a central character. The climax of my journey arrived when I received a call from a journalist at a major news outlet. They wanted to feature my story as part of a larger investigation into online romance scams. I sat in my tiny kitchen, the same one where the 5000 bill had once sat, and thought about the path that had led me here. The journalist asked, "What would you tell the woman who's about to meet a 6 with a 10's wallet?" I paused, feeling the weight of every mistake, every lesson. I'd say, I began, that you're already worth more than any wallet. Trust your gut, verify the facts, and remember that love isn't measured in dollars or Instagram likes. If someone asks you to freeze your accounts or hand over money, they're not testing your love, they're testing how much you'll give up for it. The article went live, and within hours, the view count skyrocketed. The comments section was a mixture of gratitude, anger, and solidarity. I realized that the damage I'd suffered had transformed into a catalyst for change, a ripple that could protect countless others from the same fate. The emotional whiplash settled into a steady rhythm of purpose. I still felt the sting of loss when I looked at my bank statements, but I no longer let it define me. One night, after the article was published, I received a message from an unknown number. "I saw your story. I'm the guy you called a 6 with a 10's wallet. I'm sorry for everything." It was Alex, the man who had frozen my accounts and left me the bill. He claimed he had been part of a larger syndicate, that he'd been coerced into the role, and that he was now cooperating with authorities. I stared at the screen, the familiar mix of anger and curiosity bubbling up. I could have ignored him, could have blocked him forever. Instead, I typed a single line thank you for the apology. I hope you find the help you need. I hit send and felt a strange sense of closure. The power dynamic had reversed once more. I held the power to respond, to choose compassion, to end the chapter on my terms. Now, 6 months later, I sit at a cafe, sipping a latte, watching people scroll through their phones. I see a couple laughing, a friend posting a picture of a brunch, a stranger checking their bank app. I think about the journey from the moment the bank's cold voice froze my savings to the present, where I'm a speaker at conferences, a writer for a financial wellness blog, and a mentor for those navigating the treacherous waters of online dating. My life is not back to the way it was before Alex entered it, but it's richer in ways money never could be. If you're reading this, know that the allure of a 6 with a 10's wallet is a trap designed to prey on our deepest insecurities. The moment you feel the rush of excitement, ask yourself, what am I giving up for this? The answer will often be more costly than any bill. I learned this the hard way, but I also learned that the most devastating consequences can become the foundation for our strongest rebirths. And as for Alex, he's probably still tangled in the web he helped weave, while I'm finally free to write my own story, one where I'm the one holding the wallet, and the only bill I ever pay is the price of my own growth.